Way, take a look. It's been a whirlwind week. I mean, I can't even believe that it has been a week given all the president's done. How do you feel?
It's classic President Donald Trump style, though, Jeanine. It's exactly who he's been in business as a candidate, as president-elect, and now president. He's all about action and impact. I mean, Washington is just not accustomed to somebody who comes here owing them nothing and owing the American people the opportunity to make good on those promises and those plans. And he's done everything from job creation to wage boosting to protecting us from radical Islamic terrorism by putting out extreme vetting, from swearing in a couple of the cabinet secretaries. Let's just throw in a visit from the UK's Prime Minister for good measure, calls with heads of state. It's just remarkable to watch him in action, and it really makes us all step up our game.
Do you get the sense as you watch him, and I've known him for many, many years, that there'll come a point in time when some of his staff will say, I don't know if I can keep up with this man?
Oh, sure, but too bad for us. Too bad for us. I've always thought, even when I had my own research company for 21 years, that the boss should always work the hardest. You know, your name's on the door, you're in charge, so work the hardest. But he puts that at a different echelon altogether. But you can't help but want to meet and exceed his expectations and try to at least keep pace with his thinking, with his activity. It's a joy, and the country's responding. You know, you see some of the haters out there, but no mind, because he's their president too, and he's doing things that will help them as well. What I want people to know is that for every loudmouth hater you hear, there've got to be 10 or more people now who are calling and emailing and writing and stopping and saying thank you to any of us, to him, to tell him thank you. People feel there's a new vibrancy, a new buoyancy, a new opportunity. He's not just changing the tone in Washington, he's changing the whole content.
And the whole idea of his doing what he said he would do is just kind of stunning to the American people. Well, oh my goodness, not only is he doing what he said he would do, but he's doing a lot of it in the first week. But let's talk about what happened with Mexico and the talk now of possibly a 20% tax on some of the goods coming from Mexico, and then, you know, critics saying, well, that, whether it's 20 or any other number, I think Sean Spicer may have suggested 20, that burden may ultimately be held by or burdened on the American people. Is he running this, like he, the president, like a business?
Sure, he can run the country like a business, but he also knows it's a country. On Mexico, what our press secretary Sean Spicer said is one of the possible options. Our chief of staff, Ryan Spears, has said the 20% tariff is on the buffet of options. And that's the way leaders look at things. They say, what are all the possibilities here? I want to weigh the consequences, the options, the possibilities before I make a choice on behalf of the American people.
Who needs the other one more? Does the United States need Mexico, or does Mexico need the United States?
Well, if you look at the trade imbalance, $60 billion of a trade deficit each year, and you see these statistics, Jeanine, that the greatest source of revenue for Mexico appears to be money that Mexicans in America send back to Mexico.
Well, then let me ask you, why is it that the Mexicans seem so put off by the idea of the United States as a sovereign nation putting up a wall, the United States saying we do not want illegal immigrants here, the United States doing what it can to stop illegal drug cartels from coming into this country, and the United States from taking care of its own borders and preventing people from sending money into another country?
Well, they're just not used to it. But look, Donald Trump has said as president that he will put America first. And 65% of Americans say that they really like and agree with that as one of his plans, as one of his mottos, if you will, America first. That was in a poll this week that was released. And there's something to that. People know what that means. It means that we're a sovereign nation, and sovereign nations must have physical borders. And we as a nation, as the president said in his inaugural address, we have spent billions of dollars helping other countries protect their own borders and their own sovereignty. And we're not doing it here. It's just common sense to a lot of the American people. We want to have a good relationship with all of our neighbors, Canada, Mexico. President Trump said on Friday in his press conference with the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Theresa May, he said, we'd like to have good relationships with all countries. Probably won't happen, but we'll try. And that, of course, includes Mexico. But this is all about being fair to the American people, to the American borders, to the American worker.
Well, then why do you think that there are some mayors from the large cities, American mayors, who are like, we want to protect the illegals and we're willing to risk the loss of federal block grants, law enforcement monies? What is that about?
It seems to be a sort of misread on the public mood, first of all. Are they really serious that they're going to harbor and, quote, protect illegal immigrants like the man who murdered Kate Steinle in front of her father in San Francisco almost 2 years ago? That poor woman should be a household name across this country, and we should hold her up as a symbol of everything that's wrong with sanctuary cities. And if people say, Judge Jeanine, well, that's just one example. We have many examples. At the Department of Homeland Security this past week, President Trump stood along with these angel moms, all of whom have lost their children to illegal immigrants who should not have been here. And so that is not all illegal immigrants, that is not most immigrants in this country. But these mayors saying that they're going to put the protection of illegal immigrants above the protection of their own people and their own city's resources, they're flagrantly flouting the law. Exactly. And we should think about what that means. Maybe some are making political statements, maybe some really believe that they're protecting the illegal immigrants, but those folks broke the law. You want to be in America? We've got the most generous immigration laws in the world, and we have big hearts as well. We're compassionate. Go stand in line. Go do it the way our ancestors did it, and most people's ancestors did it. You have an entryway here, but you can't break the law and then allow these liberal elites to tell everyone, Jeanine, illegal immigrants are here to do the jobs Americans just won't do. You know what many Americans have stood up and said, particularly given the Trump effect on this issue? Excuse me, I will do that job. I want to do that job to support myself and my family, but I'm not doing it for $5 an hour under the table.
And that's not all. More with Kellyanne Conway coming up. What about your kids? Are you worried about them?
I'm a mother. Of course I'm worried about them. I'm an Italian mother.
Kellyanne the mother in the public glare. Part 2 of my White House interview is next. You'll even find out who once worked in her White House office. And you're going to be really surprised. Then, my all-star political panel is here to weigh in on the president's actions on extreme vetting and sanctuary cities. You can bet on some fireworks. Stay with us on Justice. Welcome back to Justice. Here's part 2 now of my White House interview with Kellyanne Conway, where we talked about her history-making role in the Trump administration. Kellyanne, the woman. We've heard a lot about White House counsel. You are counselor to the president. Very different. Don McCann is White House counsel. Your job is very different.
Yes.
Very unusual.
You're sitting in an office, which I'm yet to decorate. I'm terrible. I can't decorate, design, or draw anything. So, but I'm sure my kids will start hanging things on the wall soon, Judge. But this is an office that was previously occupied by Valerie Jarrett, very close, if not the closest advisor to President Obama. And before her, Karl Rove. And before that, here's a great piece of trivia, First Lady Hillary Rodham Clinton. Remember, she famously had an office in the West Wing, even though the East Wing is where the First Lady's office is.
So the significance of that is that you are very close to the Oval Office.
Yes.
How far is that?
Well, more importantly, I'm very close to the president. I think we're in close. Well, it's a floor below. He's right below.
Do you have like a winding staircase?
No, but I can get there in. I can get there. I can get there in 12. I can get there in 12 minutes. Scandal's one of the only shows I watch on TV. I can get there in 12 minutes, 12 seconds. I can get there in 12 seconds. I've done it in 3.5-inch heels. I'll show you.
What's it like the first time you came in? Let's talk about personal. First time you came in, did you go, oh my God, this is so history. This is so historical.
You do feel the gravity and the enormity, but also the humility that comes with something like this. You know, I was raised by a single mom in a wonderful house of Italian women, and I think that it's the American dream writ large in many ways, but I think Donald Trump's ascendancy to the presidency is the American dream writ large. People have been saying for decades, Judge, that we want somebody who's has great experience, but not as a politician and not in government, and they got him. They made good on their self-avowed desire of many years. And for me, it's euphoric, but it's also tremendous responsibility.
When I was a DA, I was the first woman DA. There were a lot of people who had trouble just with the fact that I had bodyguards, security. There was a lot of resistance, a lot of hate, a lot of criticism, and that was in the 90s. What is it like for you now? You know, there's Sean Spicer, he's in front of cameras, and Reince Priebus, and yet you're the one that people are focused on. Why do you think that is? Why do you need round-the-clock security?
Well, there have been threats to me and my family, and I have 4 small children, 12, 8, and 7, who don't deserve to be a target of anything but love and affection, and to have a normal childhood like anyone else. And it turns out that there are people who have a problem with women in power, and many of them are women, unfortunately. I mean, look at the ridicule I faced by wearing a Gucci coat to Donald Trump's inauguration. I have to laugh because he thought it was a beautiful coat. I got lots of compliments on it at the Pentagon.
Kellyanne, you worked so hard for so long. First woman to get a president elected. You're not entitled to wear an outfit that you think is patriotic. Whose business is it?
Well, frankly, it's no one's business, right. And that's one thing I want everybody to know. They all pretend that they're so independent-minded and we're such part of the sisterhood and we're all locking arms together. And it turns out it's not true. And I very tongue-in-cheek said to a reporter this week, hey, I apologize to the black stretch pants wearing women of America for adding a pop of color and panache to the inauguration.
Yeah, red, white,
but they made
blue
fun of me, everything from Paddington Bear to you should be a Barbie doll to. But I just want them to know you're wasting your breath, because there's no way anyone is going to redefine or unravel me in 140 characters or less. Why do women feel better about themselves by putting someone down? We really have to reflect upon that. And I reflect upon it less as counselor to the president because it's not relevant. I reflect on it as a mother of 3 daughters who are 12, 8, and 7. And I've been trying to teach them, be impervious to your naysayers and critics and just focus on who you are and what your value is. And it's just so ironic to me that we spend billions of dollars a year on self-help books and strategies for self-growth and everything. How about just being kinder to each other? How about just being a better friend? Listen, you want to walk around in your yoga pants all day? That's your business. But don't insult me just because I added a little class to the inauguration.
What about your kids? Are you worried about them?
I'm a mother, of course I'm worried about them. I'm an Italian mother, of course I'm always worried about them. Jeanine, eat more, honey. Brush your teeth. Say your prayers. I'm worried about them because they are in the spotlight a little bit, even though George and I definitely shield them from that. We don't post pictures of them much anywhere. And they're big Trump fans. They've met the president, of course, and I think they really feel the blessing of being able to know what their mom's, what their mom's role is as part of this team. The other thing is they're all so different. They all reply so differently. My daughter Charlotte left me a note that I keep right there. She's 8. I love you, Mom. Thanks for saving the country, and I can't wait to see you be the first female president. She doesn't realize all I was doing was preserving her ability to be the first female president. My son, the day out, he's 12, the day after the election, said, Mom, I just want to know what data analytics you and your team had that made you see something in Wisconsin and Pennsylvania that the others did not, because we kept sending back, we had a big digital and data team, and all of you kept sending back Pence and Trump to Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Minnesota for that matter, Michigan. So they've all approached it so differently. I told my daughter Claudia, who said, I don't want to come to Washington, D.C. and be known as Kellyanne Conway's daughter, and I said, if you cure cancer, honey, I'll be known as Claudia Conway's mother. And then, of course, the littlest one, Vanessa, she just thinks it's, I was telling her I was going on PBS or something, and she said, is that the NewsHour show? They're just they know so much more than I did when I was triple their age. Yeah. And so in many ways, it's a gift that way.
It is a gift. Kellyanne Conway, you're a gift. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much. God bless you. Thank you.
The same. David Avella and David Goodfriend, my political panel, is next.